Today, I have an awesome topic and an awesome guest. I want to introduce to you Diann. Today, we're going to talk with Diann Stover about what it is to be an energy worker. Welcome, Diann.
Thank you, Beau. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Well, let's get into this and let's start talking about the power of acknowledging energy. Let's jump right on in. You are an energy worker, and I have to say, a powerful one at that. Can you talk about what it is to do energy work for you, what it feels like? What's a day like for you doing this kind of work?
Yes, absolutely. I would like to talk about a time that I had when I was driving to an appointment. I go on this road all the time. I mean, I probably was driving this road for like 3, 4 years. And when I had gone past a certain place in the road, I felt really funny, like excited, like Christmas. I felt like Christmas, like there was a gathering there. And it was really awesome. And I felt really happy. And from my peripheral vision, I seen a guy and he was jogging. And I'm like, okay, what's this? So I looked over and I couldn't see him anymore. So what I did was send love. I send my energy and I send all that love energy. And as I drove through, it like disappeared. So when I drove back to that same area, I couldn't feel it anymore. So I just felt like I had sent that love and crossed that person over or that gathering of those people that were there.
That's really cool. So, in essence, because you're so open to the energies that are around you, because being an energy worker, um, you were able to sense just an energy imprint really as you drove through it. I love that because what time of year was it?
This was summer. This was in the summertime. It was like June or July.
Right?
So,
And
and
here
I'm
you are,
thinking,
and all of a sudden everything around you feels like Christmas.
yeah. Yeah, it was kinda awesome now. I'm like, "Why am I feeling Christmas? Why do I feel so happy and excited?" Just that area. And then I realized what it was.
And it was something you relate to because you celebrate Christmas. It was something that you relate to and you felt it and you knew that feeling. You were like, I know what this is. I love the seeing of the jogger. So you saw him out of your peripheral first. And was it that when you turned to look at the jogger, that's when you couldn't see him?
Right, yep, I turned and I looked and he wasn't there anymore, and I'm like, "Okay." I just knew that these people needed to be crossed over. I just had to, my intuition told me that. So I
I
send them love.
I love that. So first, just real quick, I love this is such a great example of where you put your focus because you were driving, right? And when
Mhm.
when we drive a car, disclaimer, we really should focus on the road. We are really focusing solidly on what's coming up ahead of us to be safe, right?
Right,
And in your peripheral, though, you were defocused, and that's more of where we're able to, as intuitives, energy workers, be able to pick up spirits or anything energetic with source, the universe. And so that hit you in the peripheral. But since you were in drive mode, I feel like when you turn to look at it, you still had that like very human focused look around because I mean, you're in a moving car, right?
yeah, exactly, and I'm here driving along listening to my music, and I'm, getting this feeling, and it was awesome though, it really was. It made me feel happy.
Exactly. What can you describe what it felt like to just know that they needed some crossing over help and energy?
Um, see how I can describe that. I just had that, like my intuition told me,
Yeah.
like I had a feeling of love and happiness, and I just heard, a voice tell me that these people, need help.
Right.
So I just send them love. It was just like the last minute thing. I'm like, okay, send them love. So I just send them love from my heart space.
Mhm.
And, then I didn't feel anything. I kept driving and I'm like, okay, I'm out of it.
I think this is a great example of doing crossing over work when things feel good. Because I think a lot of people run into stuck spirits or stuck energy, and it's most of the time it's kind of a bad feeling, right? Like, I
Yeah.
need help. But you're having this energetic feeling of it feels good, everyone feels happy, but you also knew that there was that feeling of this energy needs to move on.
Yeah, it was really, it made me happy. I was just brought me joy to know that I could do that.
I think that's a powerful, really powerful example. And I think it's really big to say, look, it can be so many different situations. And I'm grateful that you drove through that situation. You were able to help. Can you talk a little bit about working with people when you do energy clearings and animals as well? Because I know you've got a really tight bond with animals.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I do an energy clearing for animals, I actually imagine them like laying in my arms, in my hands, and I take my hand and I'll start at the head of the animal and I'll go down through, and I'll feel the energy like if it feels heavy or kind of stuck. A good example would be a friend of mine. I did her dog, and when I did the head part of it, I felt stuck energy around the mouth. Like it felt really heavy around the mouth. And so I stopped for a minute. I'm like, okay, guides, help me out. What do I do here? What can I do? And they told me that I needed to move that stuck energy out, and that the teeth in the dog's mouth were rotted. They weren't good, and he
Mhm.
had an infection. So I just took, the energy with my hand, and I just moved everything out, and they guide me. They tell me, how to do it, what to do. Like for instance, for that one, when I moved that energy out, I grabbed it. I grabbed it and I just pulled it and just threw it into Mother Earth for Mother Earth to take care of. And then after that was done, then I put a shield on it
Mhm.
and protected it.
Awesome. So I have a couple questions. So you're doing the work remotely,
Hmm.
right? So you're in one location, the dog is in a different location.
Hmm.
And then was the owner able to confirm for you that, yeah, there was a dental issue?
She said she wasn't sure. She said,
Okay.
I don't know, but he's not chewing right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
she didn't really know, but um I think it was like a couple weeks or a month later, she had taken him to the vet because he was having issues in that part.
Yeah.
And they confirmed that that's what it was. So he had to have surgery and have his teeth out.
Yeah. I think that's a really great point that energy work can support the healing process, but we still are in a physical body and the physical components of it sometimes still need work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Need to be, I mean, you can do energy work on like a broken bone, for example, but you still have to put the bone back into place. Do you know what I mean? In
Mhm.
order for the healing to happen. So that's wonderful. The benefit that the dog then has as a result of you providing that sort of energy pattern for the dog is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now,
Yeah.
when you said you could feel the stagnant, I know this is such a hard question, but can you put that into words? Because so many people are curious about that. What does it really feel like for an energy worker?
Felt it felt bumpy, kinda. You could feel it. You could feel the bumpiness, the heaviness. It felt like his head felt really heavy on my hand. I could feel his head on my hand, because what I do before I actually start the energy work is I will connect with that animal through my heart space, and we'll connect that way, and I'll actually see that animal because I have my eyes closed and I actually see him.
Mhm.
And so he's actually really laying there in my hand, and I can feel the heaviness of the head. So that's why I started there, because I immediately felt that heaviness. And when I, put my hand over it, I was asking the owner questions as I was going on.
Yeah.
And, she would say, yeah, at first it was the ears, and the ears um, felt really heavy, and I want to say bumpy, and it just wasn't smooth, and you could tell. And then that's when she told me that he had uh, a history of ear infection.
Got it. So I just want to really lay this out a little bit. You're in your office. The dog is in a different location. You connect with your heart center. So I imagine that you just do you picture that, or do you feel the like an energy between you and the dog?
Yeah, I actually picture it. I see the dog and I throw the dog a ribbon.
Oh,
And yeah, and the dog or cat or whatever animal it is will grab a hold of that, and I'll pull them in. And if they want to sit in front of me, they do. And if not, they'll sit off to the side. But more often than not, they sit right in front of me. And then that's when I'll ask them to lay in my hands and ask them if they would like to do the energy work with me. And they're usually like, yeah, yeah. They get all excited. And they do. They lay in my hands, and that's then I start. And they
I love
absolutely
that.
love it.
I love
Mhm.
that. That's permission.
Mhm. Yeah.
And like you're
Always.
together with the animal with that. And so then the animal kind of the animal's energy comes to you, and then you can feel it. And then my last question around this, that ribbon thing, Diane, is so cool. What, I've never heard that before. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. My last question around this one is, when you say that it feels heavy, I know some listeners are going to be like, do you actually feel the weight in the hands, or do you just have a knowing that it's heavy?
No, I can actually feel the weight in my hand. And I know, that there's something there,
Yeah.
especially when you can actually feel that weight.
Yeah. My heart's just all over that ribbon. I just think that that's the coolest thing I've heard in a long time. I love that. And now you work with people as well when it comes to energy work. What are people typically coming to you for the session?
It just depends. Some of them come for like the session that I had already. Um, this person came to me and was telling me that she couldn't see anymore. She says, I used to be able to see spirits and stuff, and I can't anymore. She said, I don't know what's going on.
So she
So
can
I'll
see
typically
intuitively. She can see physically, but not intuitively.
right, right.
Okay.
She couldn't see intuitively. She wanted to see
Okay.
spirits. And so I'm like, okay. And then I would ask her different questions and I'd write them all down. And I would go over it with her and ask her, if she would like to work on specific things like the chakras, um, do the energy healing on all the chakras. And she gave me a yes on that. So I immediately connected with her soul, and we started from the head going down, and the crown chakra was actually clogged. So what I did there, and they're actually standing in front of me. They're standing, tall in front of me, and that's what I picture.
Even
And
remotely, again, because this is somebody that's in a different location, but you've got that
right, yeah, she was
energy.
actually on the phone with me while I was doing this.
Right. Okay.
And so I started the head, and then her crown chakra. I could feel the heaviness in there, that it was clogged. And what I do is unscrew the cap. There's like the chakra's round. I take and unscrew that, and I go in, and then I looking around and feel around and see what I can feel. And sometimes you can feel something bumpy or mushy, or and this is all guided from my guides. They'll help me with this, and they'll tell me that crown chakra needs to be cleared out. So I'll take and I'll pull out whatever's in there, and I'll heal that. And then, of course, her third eye is what was really bothering her. So we went down the third eye as well, and I cleared that for her. And she did report back to me that she felt it as I was doing it. And she reported back to me that now she can see spirit.
See, that's the power of
That's
doing this
awesome.
work. So when you're clearing it, or you're let's start with when you said I go in. Is it just that is it not just that? Because I mean, wow, this is really cool work, but is it that you focus your attention in on that spot, or do you have a visual of going in to that chakra?
Mhm. Yeah, I actually have a visual of that chakra, the color and everything.
Okay.
And I go in, my guides and I both will go in and, we'll clear that. And of course, after we get it all cleared and everything, it needs to be balanced and everything. So we also do that.
And here's another question listeners might have. What if how do you know it's cleared? Like how do you feel when you know it's cleared?
It's intuition, and I feel that everything's all smooth inside.
Yeah.
Like it's not bumpy anymore. It's not gooky. It's not
Yeah.
slimy. It just feels real smooth.
Yeah. So when you say gooky, bumpy, slimy, do you just feel like you are slowed down by it? Or do you know what I mean?
It's like
Hard to put words
yeah,
to it.
yeah. It is. It's hard to put words to it. It's like yeah. I would say that it's like I feel slowed right there at that spot. And
Yeah.
when I go in, I can just feel sticky, like
Yeah.
stickiness and heaviness in there.
I've heard someone relay it to, and I've had moments like this myself. I've heard someone relay it to like walking across a paved road and then stepping into mud, and it's just harder to walk.
Yeah, it's like stagnant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It
That's
is.
that's really cool.
It is really hard to put into words though, but of
It is.
course then you have your guides helping you, as well.
Yeah, the reasons for getting energy work, I think, are just so powerful, and that one strikes me as a really good reason to get energy work because you can't it's you're not gonna go to an urgent care and be like, "Hey, my third eye's closed," and they're gonna be like, "Okay, this is what you need to do." Well, this leads me to ask the next question. Do you ever intuitively get any information about perhaps that why an issue became an issue or why someone's energy got blocked?
Oh my. Mhm. No, I actually I don't think that they ever gave me that information,
With
you
that
know?
one? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like you're not supposed to know maybe.
Yes. I think that's why I was asking because
Yeah.
I we can have sort of this generic picture sometimes of there always has to be a reason, and that's the human in us, isn't
Mhm.
it? Like, we
Yeah.
always have to know everything. And sometimes, I do a lot of crossing over work and I'll tell people a story about crossing someone over quickly or, and just helping them really quickly. And then the person I'm telling the story to always has questions. Well, how did they die? Or what did they do? Or did you find out this? And sometimes it just doesn't fit the moment to ask all those questions. And that can be hard. I don't know about you, but I'm such a curious person that sometimes I do want to go back and find out the why.
Sometimes you do, but if they don't tell me in that moment, then I know, that I'm not supposed to know. So
Yeah.
just let it be.
I love it. And you probably are doing even more powerful work because you're letting it be, because you're just allowing what's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And really, isn't that energy?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that that's really a key kind of thing to focus on. In general, let me ask you this. As somebody that is open to energy and you are open to the power of acknowledging that things have energy, have you always been aware of this energy or was there a time in your life when you weren't so open to it?
No, I wasn't always aware of it. No, I know the first time I started being aware of it was like 3 days after my son passed away. And I saw him and I'm like, okay. I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared. It was just like he was sitting there and he was like 70% solid. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had this hope though that, he really didn't go. But in my head, I knew that he did. So that was the very first time that I knew that I could do something. And I closed myself off after that.
Understandably.
Yeah. Because I was in a lot of pain and hurt. And I just closed myself off. And in 2020 is when I decided that I need to do something about it because I was getting just different information. I'm like, I don't know how I'm getting this and why am I getting this? And that's when I found you on Facebook.
Mhm.
It took me a while to warm up because I had really bad experiences with other people. So my messages were always, don't worry, just go, just do it. So I did. And after I took your course, that's when it just all opened up. And then I decided I wanted to be a practitioner. And then it even opened up more. It was amazing.
And now
Definitely amazing.
yes, and now today, here you are using, energy work to help others, to help animals, to help energy patterns and stuck spirits on the side of a summery Christmas road. How cool is that? What would you say, what would you say how could you compare the difference between a life before where you didn't acknowledge, energy, and what's life like now? I guess, is there a difference in there that's really striking for you?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I wasn't happy before. I was not happy. And now I'm happy. I'm following my intuition and I'm happy everything's just unfolding exactly the way it's supposed to. And I don't know, I just feel it feels amazing. Whereas before I didn't. I like I said, I was not happy. You would not see me smiling all the time. And I was always down and depressed. But now I follow my intuition and it's amazing. Everything does unfold exactly as it's supposed to. But you have to have patience too.
You do, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I find that to be really hard part of
Mhm.
it, but I've seen enough and felt enough positive results walking this path that now I'm more apt to be patient, knowing all of the benefits that keep coming. Um, were you, so I don't know how to phrase this question. So today you can look back and say, I was not happy. I guess the question is, did you know how unhappy you were before?
Not really. I mean, no, not
Right?
really. Yeah. And then, when I getting into this and I started opening up, then I realized, oh my gosh, I was not a happy person before. And I changed. I really, really changed. And it was for the good.
I love that. I'm relating deeply on that level because I was a solid skeptic myself. Back in 2005 when things turned on for me and started to open up as well. And sometimes someone will say, "Well, I don't want to explore my spiritual path because I'm not unhappy." And my next question is usually, do you have an inkling that you might have room for more happiness in your life, And when you phrase it like that, people go, well, yeah, I mean, things could improve. And when I hear somebody step into a spiritual path like yourself, and that's their answer is, I am happy now. I didn't know how unhappy I was. That's the message I like to tell people is you might not know how unhappy you are. You might be so accustomed to the patterns that you're in that you don't realize that there are different patterns that you would be happier in. So if somebody just even has an inkling of it that something might be off, I always encourage them to explore energy and spirituality in their own spiritual path, because I relate to what you said about I'm happy now, you know.
Yeah. And everything went wrong. Like everything was going wrong. Like nothing that I would do would be right. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I got onto this path and it was beautiful because everything just started going right. I mean, you do have bumps. You
Yeah.
have bumps, and I've gone over many of them. But now it's starting to smooth out again. And
Yes.
it's awesome.
Yeah, and good point. You do have bumps. I am dramatically more happy. I live a much happier life today, but that doesn't mean things don't go wrong sometimes, And I personally think that the statement of like everything always happens for a reason kind of like just skates over people's emotions, and I don't like that. If somebody's in a bad spot, they're in a bad spot. But I think this path, anyone's spiritual path gives them their own tools to get back to happiness or to um, work through something that's not working with more ease as well. And for you, you're adding that piece of the energy work of you can also energetically tap in to what might be happening. And I think that's really powerful.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this. I think people are going to be able to step away with a little bit more understanding of, what energy work is, what it might feel like for different energy practitioners, such as yourself as a Sage certified practitioner. And I'm going to make sure to put information on how people can reach out to you if they think that they might need some energy work done as well, because I've worked with you, the whole team has worked with you. You're one of those individuals that you're 99.999% love. And people like that are very powerful when they do the work. And I've seen that with you. So if anyone's looking for that, I'll make sure to put show notes in here. But do you have any last words of wisdom for the listeners?
Yes, I do. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. You need to have patience. When you have patience, everything's going to unfold for you beautifully.
Thank you so much for that. And man, is there truth in that. Thank you. Mwah. Thanks for coming
Well,
on here with me today.
thank you.